Hi everybody, I am Go Senpai, also known as Unfantasmamas, and this is my speedrunning guide for the NES version of Snow Brothers. And this is going to be a guide mostly focused on the all stages one player category, but it also can be used for the any person category of the game. There's just a small difference between both categories, so this guide can be helpful to learn these two categories, which is something cool in some way. And at the time that I'm recording this, my PB on this category in all stages is 18 minutes and 23 seconds, and actually I'm on the top 3 on the game. And the main reason behind this guide is to help to all the people who are interested in to learn this game. And while here, I'm trying to share some of the knowledge that I have acquired from this game in these 3 years that I have been running it. So if you follow this guide and also you practice enough, you can get a sub 20 as a PB. So the only difference that exists between the any person and all stages category is that on the any person category, you're gonna take a special item that is hidden in some stages. On this case, you need to get a money bag item, which is hidden on the stages / floors 11, 12, and 32 in order to skip some stages. I think that these bags were found like 2 or 3 years ago. I think that this is something new, and that's the reason why also the any person category became a thing, because it was considered just as a missed category, but now it's one of the main categories of the leaderboard. So at that time, just the money back on stage 11 was found, but then sometime later, some years later, another runner found the money bags on the stages 12 and 32, and these are all the money bags that are known up to this date. So probably there are more hiding in the game, but nobody has been able to find that bags. So the only difference here, as you can see, is that once you get this money bags, you're gonna be moved into a gambling machine, where these are the patterns from left to the right, and obviously you want to get the 1 floor on the first part of the gambling machine, a 2 and a 3, because with this you're gonna skip 6 floors, 6 stages. The pattern is the same, you just need to be good with your timing at the moment that you want to stop the machines, but I'm gonna be talking about that later. So that's the only difference on the categories. On all stages, one player, you don't go for that items that gives to you this gamble machine. So the game has 3 releases, 3 versions for the NES, 3 versions that were released: the Japanese release, the American release, and the European release. The Japanese version was the first release. When you start the game, you can actually start so quick a new game. That's something good about the Japanese release, because on the PAL and American releases you need to wait a bit longer. I think that you need to wait like 1 or 2 seconds. It's not a big time difference, but if you are not patient enough, you can go for the Japanese release just for this thing. And also, if you press the select button, you can enter to a time mode, which is a kind of challenging mode where you can complete some stages on the game in less than 2, 3, and 5 minutes. Something like a time trial, or I don't know how to define that exactly. But you just need to press the select button on the screen, and you're gonna access to that mode really quick. And also, there's a visual bug when the stages are being in a transition, where you can see some corrupted stuff on the screen, but that doesn't affect the gameplay, so that's not something bad. Then we have the American release, where also as the Japanese runs at 60 Hz, and it's more complicated to access to the time mode, because here on the main menu you need to press, if I remember correctly, you need to press the up button twice, then you need to press the right button 8 times, then you need to press the down button twice, and then the left button 8 times, and then you need to press A or start, and you're gonna access to this mode. The good thing of this is that this can help to you in order to improve your movement in some stages, because you don't play all of them, and also the last stage of each time mode is not included on the main runs or in the main game. So this is something good in order to practice your skills and reactions and movements in general. So this is something good about the game. And also the items were changed here on the American release, because we got some Japanese food and money as items that gives to us points on the Japanese release, but in the American version, those items were changed, but that's something that doesn't affect to the game. And also there's a blinking on the screen during the transitions in order to try to hide the bug that the Japanese release has. And then we have the PAL version that runs at 50 Hz. It's a direct port from the NTSCU. Sorry for the mistype now that I'm watching this. And well, as we know, the PAL versions are slower, and this is also the same case with the PAL version of this game, because the tone of the music is the same, but the game's not optimized. It's basically that the PAL version is like if you were playing the NTSCU release at 50 hertz, and it's not optimized. And if you manage to, you find a way to play the PAL version at 60 hertz, you're gonna feel that the movement is almost the same. There's just slight differences between NTSCU version. So here, if you want to get any of the NTSC versions, that's good. I will recommend the American release, but if you feel better or comfortable with the Japanese release, go for it. Also, I think the Japanese release, talking about the card, the physical card, it's more cheaper to get, so that can be a thing. And also, there's a big amount of bootleg cards with this game, and I don't recommend that so much, but if you want to run this game on a console, probably you're going to try to get a bootleg cartridge or a reproduction card, or probably a flash card such as an EverDrive, because the game is so expensive. I think that the most cheapest copy of the American release of this game that I've found costed like $350. So if you can pay that amount of money, that's good for you. Otherwise, you can get a repro, bootleg, or a flash card in order to play this game on a console. Or also, like in my situation, play this on an emulator, because I don't have an NES and I'm still saving money to buy a flash card, but that's another story. Definitely you want to avoid the PAL release. If you have a way to play the PAL release on a console, I would recommend to you to play this on an emulator, because this works also on the PAL version. I have give it a try to some stuff that you do on the run. You can do it, but it's so slow. The game's so slow, and I don't think that you can get a sub 20 with the game, but this depends of you. There are other PAL games that are decently optimized, but this is not the case with Snow Brothers. And also, the last thing before we can start, but not less important, we need to have in mind what are we gonna face during the run. So these are the 7 common enemies that we're gonna have. There are more in the game, but usually these are the ones that we're going to be watching in many stages. So the important enemies here that we need to keep in mind a lot are this green guy, this other green guy that's on a light green color, this blue enemy, and also this bad. Because also this, but this is on a... That's not so important. I'm going to explain that in a bit. So with this guy and this one, this guy doesn't do nothing. They just walk around the stage. This green enemy, if the enemy see you, it's gonna throw some fire to the left or the right, depending on your position. The light green enemy does the same, but he's gonna be on the top of the screen and he's gonna throw the fire to the floor. So if the enemy detects you, is gonna throw some fire to you. This blue guy probably is gonna be the most annoying that you're gonna be watching in all the game, because what does this guy do is that at some point it's gonna turn into a tornado and it's gonna try to chase you, and while it's turning into a tornado, you cannot make damage to him, so you're gonna waste time if you let this enemy turns into a tornado. This guy, it's has the same concept as this, but it just fly against you. It doesn't throw fire or anything. And well, this blue guy, not so important, but this moves on diagonals like the DVD logos on some DVD players. But that can help a bit. Also, it moves slower, so all of these things can help a bit in order to defeat it really quick. Now the items, well, these are the foods. This is where taken from the American release, and well, there's just some few examples of them. There's 5. There's a piece of cake, but I wasn't able to spawn it. Sometimes it's a bit random, this item, but it's not important because these items are useless. But if we get them, we need to catch them, because if we wait until the item disappears from the screen, that's gonna take a good amount of time, and we're gonna waste good time during the run. If we defeat all the enemies with a single movement, we can get these money bills. That again, this is just points. Again, it's useless. This is the money bag that I was talking about of the any person category. That at this moment there are just 3 stages that we know that it spawns. This is just something exclusive for the NES release. I think that any other port of the game has this thing, and probably this is gonna be your big nightmare if you spawn it, because this face item moves to you to a bonus stage, and on that bonus stage, what is going to happen is that all the enemies are going to disappear from the screen, and then alternative ones are going to appear, and if you defeat them, you can get the letter from the snow world, and if you get the snow world, you can get a 1-up. There are some few stages where this spawns, and I'm going to be talking about this later, just in case that I forget it. The stages that I have been able to spawn this item are the stages 2, 8. I think that the stage 12 also can spawn it. I don't remember exactly. Stage 18, 28. The first stage also has this face item, if I remember correctly. Stage 38, 41, and 48. That are the stages that I remember that has this face item. So there are some ways in order to avoid to get them. There are some stages that it's more common to get it, but in other ones it's a bit weird. But anyways, I'm gonna show you how to prevent the possibilities of getting this item spawn. There are some kind of manipulations another way to defeat or complete the stages trying to avoid this item. And the important topic of the runs, the potions. There are a total of 4 potions in the game, and each one has some specific use during your run. So these are listed from the most important to the less important. The red potion, this is gonna makes us going faster. This is really important. The blue potion, this increases our shooting power, because I think that with regular shootings it takes up to 6 hits to the enemies to get freeze and turn it into snowballs, but with this you just need to shoot to them twice and they're gonna be freezed. So these are the 2 important potions that we need to get during all the run. And now we have the optionals. The 3rd potion, which is yellow potion, it's optional. It's good to get it, but it's a bit complicated / tricky sometimes to spawn it. So if you don't get it, it's gonna be slightly slow. Not so much, but it's gonna be slightly slow. Anyways, without it, you can even complete a run without problems. What this does is that it makes that our shooting range get extended. So from far distance, we can freeze the enemies. And the 4th potion, which is the green one, it's mostly like a bonus. There's a high chance that you can get it on the stage 14, but the effect of it just lasts on the stage where you get it. What what this thing is gonna do is that it's gonna turn your head into a kind of balloon, and so with that you can travel and you can move in all the stage, and if you touch an enemy, it's gonna fly like if the enemy were touched by a rolling snowball. But I'm gonna be talking about that later on the guide. So having all of this in mind, let's start right now with the important thing, which is the guide, in order to what to do during all the game in order to beat it in less than 20 minutes. Okay, and well, now we're on the game, so now it's time to get in the action with the game. So we need to put a lot of attention on some stuff during the game. Something good about this is that in most cases, in most stages, you can make your own route, so this is something good about the game. There are just some few stages where you need to follow a specific pattern in order to complete the stage, but in most of them, you just can go like you want, and you can find the way that you feel more comfortable in order to defeat the enemies, and that's something really cool about this game. So let's start with the guide, and this first thing is something I have to call complete the first two stages in less than 35 minutes. So we need to put a lot of attention here with what do we need to do, because, well, I have said that basically you can follow whatever route you want, but also in some stages like this one, some stuff can change, because in this game, we're used most of the time on video games, the enemies are cycle / RNG based, but in this case, the enemies are based on your position, so this is why I like to call this position manipulation. So the way that you're gonna try to defeat the enemies here in this first stage is that you need to start from the right to the left. If you start from the left to the right, probably you're gonna waste some time. You try to defeat this enemy first. So I think that what we want to do here is that we need to defeat this enemy first, and then we're gonna use this one, turn it into a snowball, to defeat these other two guys. If you do this properly, you can defeat these two guys with this one. Or sometimes one of them is gonna be troll and is gonna avoid your rolling snowball. That's something really weird to see, really rare that it happens, but sometimes it can happen. So what I'm gonna be doing here is that, as I said before, I'm gonna go for the guy on the right, this guy on the top, and then I'm gonna go and gonna defeat these two guys. So the way that I do this is the next one. So I start here, and I jump really quick, I freeze this enemy, I throw the snowball, I freeze this other one, I put on the top on the enemy, and then I press the B button to throw the snowball. That's the way that I feel more comfortable to do this thing, and also you need to be so aware that, well, here obviously with the A button you jump, and with the B button you're gonna throw the snowball. So this is something really, really important to have in mind, because there are different ways to throw the snowballs, and depending on how do we use it, some stuff can happen. So here I'm gonna repeat what I have done, and you need to put so much attention to what's gonna happen with my character. Obviously, when I'm blinking, that's a signal that I'm on invincibility frames. So if I do this, as you can see, I'm blinking again, meaning that I am on a invincibility window. When invincibility pace that it lasts like between 1.5 and 2 seconds. I am too lazy to time this properly, but you get the idea about what am I saying, because this is gonna be super helpful on future stages. So the good thing of doing this on the first stage is that you can start to get used to this. Another way to defeat this, to complete this, is that you need to, again, defeat this enemy, throw the snowball, freeze this guy, walk a bit and push the snowball, and then you throw the snowball. I don't like to do that, but there are some people who like to do it. I think that that doesn't waste so much time. So whatever you want to do it's gonna be good. So again, throw this guy, push this, throw it at the correct moment, and there you go. What I don't like to do this is that sometimes an enemy can get on this section, and obviously it's gonna throw into an item, and you're gonna lose a good amount of time if you do that. So obviously that's something that I don't recommend on any way. Exactly, you're gonna waste time with that. But there are some people that if they do what I do, they're gonna get the enemy sometimes here on this position. I don't know why does that happen, but these are usually the two ways that you're gonna have to defeat these enemies. And if you go for the second route, you need to be so careful and push the ball, because what can happen if you don't do that is this. If you don't push the snowball, what is gonna happen is that there's... Okay, forget that I have left an enemy there. Because if you do that, as you can see, there are more higher chances that the other enemy can get on this section of the stage. Here, well, the candy got here, so I shouldn't lose a good amount of time trying to get it. But why do you push it is because you're waiting that the other enemy comes here also to the top. You can also wait, and instead of pushing just pushing the snowball, you also can do that. Just throw it on the moment where you feel that it's better. So basically there are three ways to do it. So you do the first route, that it's taking the invincibility pace, throwing this enemy with you in the snowball, which also helps you to move a bit quick on the stage, and we're going to be doing this on later stages. You can freeze the enemy, push the ball, and we need to find the correct moment to throw the snowball in order to get the enemies here on the top. Or you can freeze the second enemy and wait until both of the bottom enemies get on the top. So these are the three ways that you have to complete this first stage. So you can do this in whatever order you want to do it. So again, I'm gonna do it on the way that I want to do it. No, I'm sorry, I was forgetting something. This is something really, really important. Once you start the stage, you need to start to jump. You don't need to walk and then jump. Why? Because sometimes can happen this. If you prefer to walk first and then you start to jump, at the moment that you move to this platform, what is gonna happen is this thing that we have seen. I have lost the invincibility frames, and now this enemy has killed me. So definitely you don't want to do that. Starting the stage, you need to start to jump. That's what you need to do. So again, 1, 2, 3, freeze the enemy. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes that can happen if you're not quickly enough with your inputs. And here, well, I got the blue potion here, but that's something I don't want for now. Another thing that I need to mention, sometimes if you are lucky, you can get the blue, the yellow, or the red potions here. So if you get a potion, it's gonna be better that you get the yellow potion, because it's a bit complicated to spawn. So now, the second stage. And probably this is gonna be one of your first resetting points, because on this stage, what I'm gonna do is that we're gonna try to spawn the red potion. It's not complicated, but sometimes that's not gonna work, so you're gonna reset the game here. It's something weird that you don't get the red potion, but sometimes it can happen. It's not like a big deal anyways for marathons or races, but you're gonna lose time obviously. But in this case, if you are going for runs, probably this is gonna be your first resetting point. And I highly recommend that even in your first runs, you reset on this stage if you don't get the red potion. So what I do here is that first I go for this enemy, obviously, but I don't defeat it. I just, if I haven't got the blue potion on the first stage, I just shoot to him 2 or 3 times. If I got the blue potion, I just need to shoot to this enemy 1 time, because if I do it twice, it's gonna turn into a snowball. I just do this mostly as something safe, because there are some runners that prefer to avoid this enemy and go directly with this one. And this is also what I do. They avoid this enemy, but as something safe, I would recommend that you don't freeze at all this enemy, because we're gonna turn this enemy into a snowball. Into an enemy, sorry. So here we need to go on the top, and with this enemy, we need to throw him also, and this is gonna be the enemy which is gonna help to us to get the red potion. So that's the reason why you wanna don't wanna freeze at all this enemy. And well, let's suppose that this enemy is gonna make damage to this one lower, and then you're gonna use this other enemy to defeat this other two. So that's the way that you're gonna do, because with this, I believe you make that a snowball touches 3 enemies, you're gonna have 3 chances of getting an item. And obviously, the most enemies you defeat, the most chances you're gonna have to get the potion. Sometimes also you can get 2 red potions, which can be also something good. Mostly when you are playing with somebody else. But in this case, and also there's a rare possibility so it's a tiny window, a tiny possibility that also you can get the blue potion here. But mostly, what are we gonna do is to get the red potion. So going back to what do we need to do, this is what do we need to do. So I'm gonna load this state again. 1, 2, I jump again. I throw this enemy, and then again the same thing that I have done on the first stage. So the first enemy thrown into an item that just gives me points, and here I have got lollipop and a mushroom. This is usually the reset point that we are gonna be getting. This is not so common to get, but at the same time, it's not like something really weird to happen. So probably due to the save states, this is gonna be a bit complicated for me to manipulate. Again, lollipop. I miss this enemy, so some of these things are gonna happen. You just need to work with your timing and all of that things. I like to throw myself with the snowball, because with that I can move really quick down. Otherwise I just can do this. And sometimes if the enemy gets on the top, also there's a possibility that you can get the red potion, but I don't recommend to be on this spot. I don't recommend to be so close to the items, because for some reason, well, I don't know if it's just something that happens to me or something I want to believe on, but sometimes if you are close to one of the enemies, you're not gonna get the red potion. So let's see if I can get it again. Otherwise, I'm gonna reset this. I'm gonna reset the game. I'm gonna try to do it again. Okay, I got it. It's the red potion, so we're good to go. So as you can see now, my movement is more faster, and hopefully, well, the good thing is that that's something that's not gonna take you a good amount of time to practice and put on practice also. And now this is a kind of I don't know, drama is not the correct word, but for this I apologize if I don't find the correct words to trying to explain this. This is more like a controversy topic, at least for me. And well, again, I'm sorry if sometimes I got confused with the words, but I'm trying to do my best in order to record this guide on a language that it's not my main language. So what I say that this is a bit controversy. Well, this has a bit of controversy. It's because there are mostly the top runners. The other top runners of this game likes to restart the game on this stage if they don't get the blue potion. I don't like to do that a lot, because there's a way to get it on the blue potion on the stage 6. So for you that you're gonna learn the game, you're gonna do your first runs. It doesn't matter if you don't get the blue potion here. You can reset the game without problems. But once you reach a top level like myself, you need to reset. I don't like to do this, but I need to do it, because otherwise you're gonna waste a good amount of time. I think that this makes you lose like 5 seconds on average time, and it's a good amount of time when you're going for a top time, because this game, it's RNG based on the last boss, so that's gonna be the stage that are gonna help to you or not to get or not a good PB, a bad PB, or where to get nothing. So what I'm gonna be doing here, what do we need to do is that here we're gonna start again from the right to the left, but in a different way. What are we gonna be doing here is that in this case, I'm gonna freeze at a half to this enemy. This is mostly something as a backup, because otherwise you need to freeze it entirely, turn it into a snowball, and then you're gonna freeze also this enemy and turn it into a snowball in order to, again, throw this enemy. This is the enemy that we're gonna be throwing. But I don't like to freeze this guy at all, because if we turn this guy into a snowball, into a big snowball like this one, we're gonna just have two enemies that we can turn into an item. But if you freeze this by a half, you're gonna have three items, so that gives you more possibilities of getting the blue potion. But the only bad thing is that most of the time the item is gonna spawn on this zone, so going to the top is gonna make you lose more time. So this is gonna depend mostly about what do you wanna do, or mostly how good with your mashing do you are, because in this game you're gonna mash the B button a lot. So let's try to put this on practice. 1, 2, 3, freeze at a half, full freeze, throw this snowball, throw this enemy, I go away, and there we go. This is the blue potion. So again, 1, 2. Because as you have seen, in this case I haven't got the blue potion. Because I don't know why, but doing what I do gives me more possibilities of getting the blue potion, because I have tried to freeze this enemy, but looks like or I'm not good to do it, or I'm so slow mashing buttons. Probably the second situation. So again. Okay. I'm gonna try to do it. Because this section requires a good amount of mashing. And well, this is good, because not I just got only the blue potion, but also got the yellow potion, so whatever you want to do is good. You can turn the enemy that spawns here into a snowball if you want, or if you don't want, you just can go in the normal way. And also, if you have a good chance, you can get the yellow potion, as I got here. So this is something good. So now, stage 4. If you have all the potions, you're gonna turn this enemy into a snowball, and then you're gonna throw this enemy. You can do it just here. Just jump here, and then turn to the right, freeze this enemy, then turn to the left, freeze this enemy, and just throw this enemy. And then you're gonna freeze this enemy, you're gonna throw it. Also the same with this guy and this guy. If you don't have the yellow potion, you just avoid this enemy. And with one of these, you're gonna turn this enemy into an item that is gonna spawn in this section. Then you're gonna lose like 1 second, I think, between 1 to 2 seconds, if you don't have the yellow potion. But again, that potion is not so important. If you can get it, it's something good. If you can't, also it's understable. So let's do the route when you have all the potions. This is what I do most in this stage. This is not so important, and I forgot to freeze the other enemy. So this is the route when you you are lacking from the yellow potion. You have all of them, and you do that mostly to avoid that enemy turns into an item. So with this, you can move quickly to the next stage. Now, stage number 5, this is a stage where also you have some chances to get the yellow potion if you don't have it. So again, this is another stage where you will try to get your own way to defeat the enemies. But what I do, if I'm looking for the blue potion, is that I'm gonna ignore this enemy, I'm gonna freeze this one, and I'm gonna throw it. And then I'm gonna freeze this enemy, I'm gonna wait slightly until my invincibility pace finishes, so I can throw this snowball, and the snowball is gonna move me really quick to this lower section, and then I can jump to defeat this enemy, and then this other one that's gonna be here on this section. If I'm quickly enough, I can freeze the bot enemies on time entirely, and with that I can avoid any other item that can spawn, because this enemy is gonna fly to this section most of the time. It's weird that the item goes to another section, but most of the time it's gonna be here. So again, if you have the yellow potion, you can freeze also this enemy if you want, or if you don't have it and you wanna give it a try and see if you get the item, ignore this enemy, freeze this one, throw it, then freeze this enemy, wait until your invisibility base finishes so you can throw this enemy, and the snowball's gonna move you here. Then you jump twice, 1, 2, then you jump again, 3, freeze this enemy, jump, and 4, freezes this other enemy is gonna be on this section. So let's try to do that. So if you don't have the yellow potion, you can do this. But okay, maybe if you don't have your yellow potion, you can do this. And wait a little bit, because it's really important to wait until the invisibility base finishes. Otherwise, what is gonna happen is that the snowball is not gonna catch you. I'm gonna show you. As you have seen, I was on the invisibility base, so the snowball hasn't moved me, and you have seen that I have spawned the yellow potion, but in this case I don't need it, because I have it. You can do that with the enemy. You can throw it, you can freeze it into a snowball and throw it. You have the yellow potion, or also, if you have it, you can go for the other route. I prefer to avoid that enemy and turn it into an item, because most of the time it's gonna go here, and as you have seen, I have spawned again the yellow potion. This is mostly the stage where you're gonna be getting yellow potion. So now, stage 6, and here lies the backup blue potion. And this is what I was talking about on the third stage. So for your first runs, probably this is gonna be your second reset point, because it's a bit weird to try to manipulate these enemies. Because what are you gonna try to do is that you're gonna try to freeze these 2 enemies in order to try to defeat these 2 and probably this third enemy. But sometimes the game is not gonna cooperate with you, so this enemy, if you throw this enemy into a snowball, any of these other enemies or any of the other snowballs that touches the enemies are gonna touch this enemy, so probably you're gonna lose time. So the way that I do to defeat this is that obviously if I'm looking for the blue potion, I try to ignore this enemy, or I just shoot him a little bit just to make that it turns into a mid snowball. I don't turn it entirely into a snowball. Then I freeze this enemy at a half also, and I throw this enemy. I turn this enemy into a snowball and I throw it. Or if this enemy comes to me, also I turn it into a snowball. So I'm gonna try to replicate that in order to see if I can. I hope that I can explain what I'm trying to say. So this enemy can move here, and you throw this. And sometimes on the top, where this item is I don't know how this is called, sorry. But sometimes here the blue potion can appear. So you need to do something like that. Otherwise you can do this also. Well, on this case, I have shoot there, but I have missed shoot. But usually you need to find a way to mid freeze the other enemy also, in order to get the blue potion. I'm gonna try to do that on another occasion, and I'm gonna record the video and I'm gonna put the link on the description of this thing. Otherwise, as you have seen, that enemy was a bit trolled with me, and well, I have missed an enemy. I just have thrown 1 ball. So sometimes this red enemy can be helpful in order to get some items. So what I do is I don't freeze it at all. Let me try to do this. So I just can freeze this enemy. I throw the snowball. It's gonna touch the enemy, and if I'm lucky enough, it's gonna defeat also the other enemy that was here. but you need to avoid. But as you have seen, I have avoided the red enemy, and here, well, I got the blue potion. But since I have all of them, I just can. The route is different. If you have already all the items, what you're gonna do is that first you're gonna freeze this enemy and throw it. Then you're gonna turn this into a snowball. You need to put in a good position here to freeze this enemy. Also, remember that with the potion, you just need to do 2 hits to them. You need to shoot them twice, and they're gonna be turned into a snowball. And then I'm gonna be doing the same with these guys. I can freeze this guy, and this guy probably is gonna move to my position, so I can freeze it also. And we can get rid of the items like this. Okay, in that case, I was a bit dumb and I forgot to throw that item, but I was lucky and I got the... Well, and the snowball touched the enemy. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but in this case, I was lucky to get it. So now, stage number 7. Here we have collect the important items, and obviously, if you haven't got the blue potion on the stage 6, you are gonna need to reset here. On your first runs, you can avoid this and you can keep going in order to get used to the game, but at some point you need to do that. If you cannot get the blue potion on the stage 6, just keep going. And then when you are going for more top times, you are gonna be resetting the third stage if you don't get the blue potion. So now stage 7, this is where the game turns interesting, because now here we can find our own route to defeat the enemies. So what I do here is that I turn this enemy into a big snowball, or I can freeze it by a half to get an item, but in this case I don't need items. So I turn this enemy into a snowball, then I jump here on the top, I go from this spot, I freeze this enemy and then I go on up. Sorry if I sometimes get confused with this thing, because I don't know why OBS is not detecting this in the correct position that I wanna aim, that I wanna show on screen, but that's another topic. So I turn this enemy into a snowball and I throw it. This snowball is gonna touch this enemy, and the item is gonna be like here on this zone, and I need to find a way to get the item and also turn this enemy into a snowball and throw it. So I'm gonna move this route, then I'm gonna keep down, and there's a possibility that that one of these guys comes down, and I can turn them into an item, and the item can spawn here, here, or here. It's weird that you can get it here. Usually, if you don't get it here, you're gonna get it here or here, and the last enemy is gonna be here. So again, turn that enemy into a snowball, and it's gonna disappear here really quick once you throw the snowball. So this is the way that I do this. Then from a distance, I freeze the enemy. Once I get the item, I throw the ball, I touch that enemy, and then I came here and I freeze the enemy. Stage 7, it's not complicated. Now, stage 8. A really, really important stage. Why? Because this is one of the stages where you have a higher chance of getting the face item that I was talking at the beginning of the video. So here, this is really, really important because you need to go to the right. Don't start on the left. Don't go for this enemy first. Go for this one. If you go from the left to the right, there's a higher chance that you can get the face item. But if you do this from right to the left, there's a tiny window of possibility to get it. I'm gonna see if I can get it. But also this is a bit slow. Mostly the position of the enemies are more helpful on the right than from the left. But well, if you do this, there are higher chances of getting the face item. There is higher chances. Well, in this case I'm not getting them, but I go to the right because most of the time that I do that on the left, I'm gonna get the face item, and you're gonna waste a good amount of time to do that. Because you can get the face item, and you can And with that, you enter into a bonus phase that you can wait certain time, or you can wait until the item disappears. But again, that can translate into losing time. And you have seen what I have done. I forgot to explain it, but it's simple. Freeze and throw. Freeze and throw. Freeze, throw. Turn into items, and you're done. I'm gonna do it again. And also, for some reason, well, if you want, you can get away from the items, from the points where the enemies are gonna spawn. You wanna be safe and you wanna see if you haven't got the face item. But as I've said before, it's more weird that you get it if you start from the right to the left. It's more common to get it when you go from the left to the right. Now, stage number 9 is another easy stage. Where's my mouse? Freeze in the feet, freeze in the feet, freeze in the feet, freeze in the feet. You can also avoid this enemy and freeze this enemy and throw it, and there's a possibility that the ball, instead of going to the right, is gonna go to the left, but I don't recommend that. Because sometimes if you don't aim correctly or you don't throw your snowball when it's not on a good position, that's not gonna happen, and the ball's gonna go to the right, and you're gonna lose time because you have forget that enemy. Like this, for example. Let me see if I can get it. What am I saying? So that can happen sometimes, or if you're lucky, the snowball is gonna move to the left. But in this case, that wasn't the case, so I'm gonna lose time here. If I were doing a run, I was gonna lose time because I haven't defeated this enemy. So the way that I need to do this is you go in order. Freeze throw, freeze throw, freeze throw, and freeze throw. And I was so focused on the guy that I forgot that the 35-second thing was just on the first 2 stages. If you do that and quicken out and you get the red potion, you're gonna finish the first 2 stages on an average time of 35 seconds from when you start the game. That, well, the timer starts once you select the 1-player mode. And also, if you get the blue potion quick, you can complete the first 3 stages on an average time of 55 seconds. So again, let's gonna go first thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I got a bit distracted there. Sometimes that can happen. Freeze throw, freeze throw, freeze throw, freeze throw. And now we're gonna start with the boss time. Now we're gonna start with the boss stage. So this boss is releasing. This boss just requires 6 hits, and we're gonna defeat him. What I recommend all the time is that you need to be on the top of the screen on these sections. I like to keep here most of the time, because here he's gonna throw enemies on the top, and sometimes gonna go down and he's gonna throw enemies on the floor. But trying to get these enemies in order to defeat him is slow on the section. You prefer to keep here most of the time, and that's gonna be the quick way to defeat this enemy. Because, well, this enemy is gonna throw you some enemies, and you need to freeze the enemies, turn them into snowball, and then throw them against this guy. And that's the way that you're gonna be doing this boss fight. Well, here I'm mostly to be safe and try to get some enemies that get spawned on this section. I used to do the thing with the snowball that when I throw one, I get the invisibility pace, but I just do that with the enemies that are here. I throw them to the left, so they're gonna go to the left, they're gonna bounce to the right, the enemies are gonna get trapped on the snowball, so I just can press the jump button on them and get rid of that. This is gonna be really quick, so pay attention to what I do. So I jump, I get here, first hit, second hit. This is not important here, the invisibility base. 3, this is the way, and the 4th enemy is where you want to get the invisibility frames due to that enemy. And as you have seen, 6 hits and you're done. Also, it's not important to keep shooting to the enemies, to the boss, once you have defeated, because it's just gives us points. So again, I'm gonna try 1, 2, 3, 4, invincibility, 5, 6. And there we go. That's the first boss. It's not a big thing. And some points for the memes. And now, the gambling machine. Well, I'm gonna do this again because I need to make a save state there. I forget to do it. Okay, that was bad. But I'm gonna lose time. I'm gonna lose one hit. Okay. Surprisingly enough, I haven't missed that hit because on the way that I was doing this, there was a chance that I was gonna miss the last hit and that this was gonna take more time. So now, the gambling machine. This is something that was included just on the NES release, and this is something that I really hate. Because you can lose a good amount of time here, depending on the pattern that you get. So here on this gambling machine, what you're gonna get is that, well, you can get one of the, you can get one letter from the snow word. You can get a one-up that, well, the icon that we're looking right now on the screen is the indicator that we're gonna get an extra life. And you can get a cross, which is the same as to get nothing. So what do we wanna get here is that we need to get as much crosses as we can. Getting letters is fine, but definitely you don't wanna get extra lives. I know that it sounds a bit ironic, but that's the third thing here. You don't wanna get lives because if you don't get nothing, obviously you don't get points. If you get a letter, you're gonna get obviously the letter from the snow world, and it's gonna get displayed here on the top of your point. And each letter is gonna give to you 10,000 points. So each of if you get 3 letters, you're gonna get 38 points. So. And well, the reason why you want to get any one-up is because obviously you get a one-up, but at the same time you get 50k points. And obviously that's not something good. I think that on my second gambling machine, on my best of NES 2019 run, I got 2 lives and 1 letter. It's weird to get more than 2 lives. But I think that's the only time that I have recorded on a video, that I have footage about that I got 2 lives. So here is gonna depend about how does your mashing skills are. But I used to do this really quick and I let this to the luck, because probably I can lose more time trying to guess where does the X is gonna spawn here, in order to try to avoid points. So obviously, if you get all the letters from the snow word, obviously you're gonna get a life, but you're not gonna get the 50k points that these direct one-ups are gonna give to you. So what I do this here is just to mash A. So in this case, I got 2 letters and a cross. As you have seen, the cross doesn't give you points. I want to see if I can get 2 crosses or something like that. I used to have a time... Okay, I think this is gonna be good. I used to have a sound cue point where I used to mash A, and that gave me more possibilities of getting just crosses. But I don't know if that doesn't work anymore, or probably I'm just bad with my timing. But here you need to try to find your own way to mash A. That's gonna be good. If you get a 1-up, it's good for your first runs, and even more top runs probably can get a life or something like that. That's gonna make you waste time, but because obviously the more points you get, the more slow that you're gonna be moved to the next stage. So here it doesn't matter so much what do you get, but if you can get as much crosses as you can, that's something really amazing. So now stage 11. Here what I do is that I first go for this enemy, I freeze and throw, then I freeze this guy, I freeze this guy, and then I freeze this one, and I'm gonna throw this guy. Also, you can throw this enemy first and then throw this one, because sometimes you are gonna freeze this enemy on a not good position, where the snowball from this enemy is not gonna dodge it. So if you wanna go and first and throw this enemy, that's good. You're not gonna waste time. Because as you have seen, when you start a stage, you have some time before the enemy starts to move. They're not gonna move while you are on the invincibility phase. So let's try to do this. This is like the most safe route that you can get. Okay, never mind. Or something like that also. But most of the time I prefer to do this, the safe route. Because sometimes if you miss that enemy, you're obviously gonna waste more time. So you need to be good with your mashing skills, because also sometimes I forget to throw that enemy. So these are the ways to defeat the enemies. But most of the time I'm gonna recommend to you that you go for the safe one, that it's to throw as most enemies as you can. In this case I haven't thrown the second enemy because I moved before I give the correct input to the game in order to defeat that enemy. Also, sometimes you can forget to throw this enemy, but this big snowball is gonna help you. So now, the lotto bag, the money bag for the any person route. The bag is here. And every time that you get this bag, you're gonna get this thing. And you need to go for the pattern thing that, well, I also shown on the beginning of the video, but also on the forum on speedrun.com, on the leaderboard of this game. Somebody posted the image from the pattern you can get on this machine, but again, in all stages 1 player, this is not allowed to do. This is just for any percent. But you don't wanna get this thing because you have seen stage 11. It's a very short stage, so it's better to take the lotto back on the next stage, on stage 12. So let's do this again. And here I'm gonna show you where does the other money back is. That is just on this position. But in order to save some time, what you can do is that you need to get close here, like on this position, start to shoot, and at the moment where the back spawns, you're gonna get it instantly, saving some frames. And again, this depends about your mashing skills. So let's see what I can get. I think I missed a 3. Yeah, I missed a 3, but I get 4 floors. And also this should be slow. Like if this was okay, if I were on the gambling machines from the bonus stage, well, from the bonus gambling machines that I get after I defeat the bosses, but in this case, this is weirdly enough, this is faster, I think, than completing the regular stages. So feel free to practice your mashing skills there and your ability to guess the correct pattern on the any person category. So going back to the to the all stages 1 player category. Here we are gonna start with the annoying enemies, but this is gonna be easy. What I do is that I freeze this enemy, I throw it a snowball, the snowball's gonna touch this enemy, and while that happens, I jump here, freeze this enemy, throw it, and it's gonna bounce. When I throw it to the left, it's gonna bounce to the right, and it's gonna touch this enemy, it's gonna move me here, and I'm gonna be jumping like in this position, because usually the item skips on this this position. This is the section where the items from that enemies are gonna be spawned. So let's do this. Oh, my mistake. And there we go. Stage 13. freeze and shoot, freeze and shoot, freeze and shoot to the left. Or well, this can depend because you can freeze this enemy. I'd really recommend to go first for this guy because if you are on the same line than them, and I was forgetting also to mention this, there's a possibility that they throw to you knives. So every time that you see this enemy, you're gonna try to defeat it really quick. So again, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, and if you can, throw this guy to this guy and turn it into an item. Or well, what I used to do, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. Because sometimes when, in this case, you need to get closer to the snowballs, in this case, if this enemy were a snowball, I will press the right button and the B button to throw it, but if I do that and then I quickly, at the same time I press the B button, I press the left button, there's a possibility that the snowball can change its position to the left. Or vice versa, depending of what you do. It's a bit complicated to do that, but sometimes it can happen. Usually that can happen to me here, but if you can dominate that, you're gonna be a master on this, definitely. So let's put in practice what I have said. In this case, I wasn't able to put the snowball, so this is a stage that wasn't a stage that doesn't require a really deep explanation. Here again, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. This can be an item, or if you're quickly enough, you can also freeze and throw this guy. And sorry, I got confused with the enemies. The one that you probably are not gonna freeze is this one. The one up the left and on the right. But also, you can freeze this enemy on a big distance, as I have done that. Oh, and also you can freeze this enemy. This is gonna depend mostly about how do you practice this thing. But again, also you can switch enemies from which is gonna be thrown into a snowball and which one you're gonna defeat and thrown into an item. So, well, this is stage freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. There's a possibility that you can get well, on this case, forget what I've said. This enemy is gonna be thrown into an item, but you can use the invincibility pace and any of these snowballs, and there's a possibility that if you get trapped into the snowball you get with this enemy, and you're gonna move to the top. If this guy spawns a green potion, you can disappear the other enemies. If you turn them into snowballs, you can disappear the snowballs really quick. But I don't recommend to do that. Probably you're gonna waste time. You can get the yellow potion, sorry, the green potion, or you can get an item that just gives you points. So again, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. This is gonna be thrown into an item thanks to this enemy. In this case, I got a lollipop. I'm gonna do it one more time. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. Get the item. Here I got the green potion, but it's more for like a bonus thing. It's useless. Stage 16. Here I jump on the top. I freeze and throw this enemy. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw. There's a higher chance that probably this enemy is gonna. I think that its rule is that once you throw it to the left, it's gonna go to the right, and it's gonna come down here. It's gonna touch this enemy. It's gonna turn this enemy into an item, or probably you can do that also with this enemy. Sometimes the patterns are weird, but usually that's what happens here. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw, or well, also that can happen with the first enemy. And freeze and throw again and gets the item. Get the item and you're gonna be done. Stage 17. Again, another not so deep stage. Freeze and throw. If you are slow, probably this enemy is gonna jump, is gonna be turned into an item. But what do we wanna do here is that And we're gonna just freeze throw this enemy. This guy is gonna be jumping here on the top. We can freeze this blue tornado guy, and also this enemy also jumps here, and we can throw it. But well, in this case, for example, onside, I freeze and throw this guy, and I jump on the top. I freeze this blue guy, or this guy, depending on which of those of these enemies are here, and I throw the ball. So one of these guys is gonna be thrown into an item. Then the ball's gonna come here, and it's gonna bounce and comes here on the right. It's gonna bounce to the left, and mostly in this position, you're gonna move, and then you're gonna jump. Why? Because you're gonna be catched by that rolling snowball. You're gonna be on the invisibility pace. But well, in this case, if you let that, you're gonna be moved to the floor, and that's slow because we haven't defeated this enemy. Because we want to jump and then jump again, and then we're gonna freeze this enemy. It's gonna be on this section, and we just freeze and throw, and that's everything. Freeze and throw, jump, freeze, wait, throw, and that's everything. Sometimes you can get trapped on the visibility pace, sometimes not, like on this situation. It was good that I wasn't trapped on the visibility pace, because also that can help to you in the way that you move in order to get or not the item, because sometimes the item can get on a low section, can be on spawn on a lower section of the stage, and in this case the rolling snowball is gonna help to us to move really quick here. And well, stage 18, higher chance. So you have some chances to get the face item here, but it has been so weird for me recently. I don't know why, but years ago when I used to play this thing casually, I used to get it a lot of times. But hopefully this is not the case anymore. So here, freeze and throw, freeze, throw. Sometimes you're gonna be lucky and you're gonna be able to freeze spot enemies, and then any of that guy is gonna touch this enemy, and it's gonna spawn on any of this section, or probably here on the ramp. This is gonna depend mostly on which position does this enemy is where the rolling snowball touches it. Sometimes, as I've said, you can freeze bot. Sometimes you just can freeze one, and you need to be so quick here. Once you throw this enemy, probably you can get into the visibility pace, which is gonna be something good. Probably not. And you need to be careful, because remember that these blue guys not just get thrown into a tornado after some time. They also throw you knives if you are on the same range to them. So you need to be careful, because sometimes that enemies here likes to throw you knives. This is the first stage where the knife uses to appear with these enemies. So that's the reason why I prefer to do that on a distance, but I will in this case, well, I got the cake here that I haven't put on the slideshow. So as you have seen, that's not a complicated stage. You need to practice. You're probably gonna practice that a bit to see all the patterns, but most of the time it's gonna happen. Probably you don't have the yellow potion. You're not gonna be able to freeze bot enemies quick, or probably yes. It's gonna depend about where does that guy wanna move. Now, stage 19. Freeze and throw. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw, and freeze and throw. Sometimes you're gonna miss this enemy, but if you freeze this guy and throw it, it's gonna be thrown into a snowball, or into an item, and that's gonna make us lose time. So what you wanna do is freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, and freeze and throw. Also, there's a hidden item there that just gives to us points. And now, second boss fight. I have made the save state before because I want to do something here. Okay, so let me do something really quick. Because this boss is slightly modified, comparing it with its arcade release. Because on that arcade release, it's gonna spawn all the time on the floor, and then slowly it's gonna move to the top. But in this case, I want to assume that due to the NES limitations, sometimes it can appear on the top or on the bottom. For a good amount of time, I thought that make that this enemy appeared on the floor was the best way to defeat him, because it was gonna be really quick. and on the top is what's going to be slow. But some days before my run on the best of NES Marathon, I accidentally discovered a quick way to defeat this enemy when it's on the top. So you're gonna want that this enemy appears on the top most of the time. But also there's a way to defeat it when it's on the floor. It's not so bad. It's probably any of these ways are gonna waste time if this happens like how I want to show it. But this guy requires 7 hits, I think, and some minimal shootings, and you're gonna be done with that. Also, depending on the distance from where do you throw the snowballs is gonna be the amount of damage you're gonna be doing to the bosses, so you need to be so careful with that. So here, in this case, it has appeared on the top, and I'm gonna try to make that it spawns on the floor later, because I think that this is RNG based also. So here, what are we gonna do is that, again, we're gonna be on the visibility pace in order to be a bit safe. So this guy is gonna throw 2 bombs, or 2 enemies to the left and 2 to the right. We're gonna freeze first. The enemy is gonna be that is gonna spawn here. You wanna be mostly like on this spot, because you're gonna have a safer distance. You don't wanna be so closer to the boss, because if you lose the invincibility pace or you have mob slow and you have lost it, you're gonna lose a life. So you need to be so careful with this, and probably you'll wanna do some save states here in order to save some time. So here, you freeze for this enemy, you throw it, then the second enemy is gonna spawn here, then it's gonna jump here, you're gonna be like here, freeze it, then jump on the enemy, face right, and throw it. Then the other 2 enemies are gonna come, so you wanna take a good distance from like this point, and probably you're gonna freeze one of the enemies here and the other one here. The important enemy is gonna be one. If you can freeze both of them, that's gonna be it, but that's something really hard. And when you freeze the enemies that came here, this guy's gonna disappear. So again, it's gonna depend about where does it appears. If it appears on the top, throw it. If it throw the enemies really quick. It doesn't matter if you just got freeze one and the other one was half freezed. But if it appears on the floor, just throw for example, if you have here the complete snowball and here the half snowball, jump on the snowball and throw it to the left, and freeze this other one and throw it also to make another hit. This is a boss that mostly gets self-explained when you watch somebody playing this. So let me try to do it. Okay, this is good because it hasn't disappeared. And here I have used the invincibility phase. 6 hits, I keep freezing heat there, it doesn't matter. And throw the snowball, it's gonna touch him, and there we go. That's the fastest way that you're gonna have to defeat this boss. Let me try to do it one more time. On that case I was lucky because here it doesn't disappear, because when he blinks, there's a possibility that it disappears, and if that happens, obviously you're gonna waste some time. And well, what is gonna happen if this guy spawns on the floor? Let me see if I can get it, otherwise I have another save state that I can use for this. It depends also about your position, I think, but I used to put on that spot, because with that it's gonna spawn on the top most of the time. So let me see if I can manipulate that, otherwise I'm just gonna load another state that I have where this guy appears on the floor. Okay, here we go. So the technique here is that you're gonna come here on the top, and you're gonna start to freeze as much enemies as you can. Again, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and you're gonna be doing the same here. I don't know exactly how to explain this, so let's watch. I'm gonna try to do it, and then I'm gonna explain what's gonna happen. Because here, there's a possibility that also it can disappear and appear on the top. So there's also a way to manipulate this enemy and avoid that it disappears. So when you freeze an enemy here and the other one is also down, you're gonna try to keep like on this and this section, because with that, then the boss is not gonna disappear. So you can go really quick and throw the other enemies. This is the way that you want to defeat this boss if it appears on the floor. Oh, sorry. You need to freeze first this enemy. 1, 2. Freeze this guy. Keep there. Move a little bit. Okay, I failed there. Let me see if I can do it again. Okay. And just 2 hits and we're gonna be done. 1, 2. Oh, my mistake. I missed 1 hit. But that's the way that you're gonna be defeating it. So you need to learn both ways to defeat this boss, because with that, you can make the correct mix of what do you need to do, because as you have seen, it can spawn on the top, it can spawn on the floor, and when it disappears, it can appear on the same spot it was, and the boss can change its position. So it's really good that you practice both of these things. And again, game the machine and we're done. So now, starting from this point, from the floor / stage 21, there's nothing important to do here. This is basically where you start to make your own route to complete the game. Some few stages has some ways to complete this really quick, so probably I'm not gonna be explaining some of these things in order to don't make this so longer with more unnecessary information, but let's try to do this. This is mostly, again, self-explanatory. But anyways, in order to defeat this faster, I used to ignore this enemy, because I need to wait until this enemy jumps, and you can use a snowball to defeat it. Because here also, what I do is, first I ignore this guy, freeze this guy, freeze and throw it, jump, 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 freeze and throw, and if I have to do this on the correct position, on the correct timing, not just this enemy is gonna be thrown into an item, but this guy is gonna jump here and is gonna be touched by this rolling snowball, is gonna be thrown on an item. Sometimes that cannot happen and the enemy is gonna jump here. So here, with this snowball, I jump over it and I press the B button, so I can the snowball gets me, and I can move really quick to this section. So if this enemy doesn't get touched by the snowball and jumps here, I freeze it here, I jump here, freeze it, then walk here, jump, push the ball, and once the ball comes here, I go down, and I throw it to the right. I want to avoid that the other snowball gets here, because it's gonna make us losing more time, because the snowballs takes a good amount of time here to disappear. But this enemy is gonna get here in this position anyway, so that's enough for us. We don't want to have two snowballs rolling at the same time. I like to push the ball there. And as you have seen, this guy hasn't avoided that I was trying to defeat it with the rolling snowball. And on this case, I have got what I was trying to get, so that's good. Stage 22, another one that you can make your own route, but what I do is freeze and throw, freeze and throw. When I freeze and throw to the left, freeze and throw to the right, probably is gonna touch this enemy, probably not. Freeze and throw, and this enemy is gonna be like here, I think, and this rolling snowball is gonna touch him. Well, you can freeze also this guy. I'm gonna try to do it. Usually the only enemy that gets turned into an item is this one, and the item most of the time is gonna keep here or on this section, but most of the time it's gonna get here. Or on this section also. Let's do this again. Also, if you forget to throw that snowball, you don't need to be in a big problem, which you have seen. So in this case, I'm getting it on this section, so you can get it here or here. And some good situations you can get this enemy here. But there's a possibility for that. Well, as you have seen, this is what I was trying to say, and what I was trying to show. Stage 23, this is what I do. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw, and freeze and throw. Probably this enemy is gonna be thrown into a snowball and throw an enemy. If I'm lucky, this guy is gonna throw into an enemy also. And also, there's another backup. This is another backup stage where you can get the yellow potion if you're lucky enough. Don't try to do that, obviously. Yeah, and there we go. Well, floor 24, stage 24, we're gonna have a new enemy here, the sumo guy. That, well, on this stage we can ignore it, because it's supposed that you use an enemy turn into a snowball to jump here and shoot this guy, and it's gonna disappear and you're gonna get an item that's gonna give you points, but this is useless for the run. Usually on this stage, this enemy doesn't do anything, so, again, freeze and throw. Luckily, no, it's gonna touch this enemy, and freeze a throw. If this enemy hasn't touched this enemy, this one is gonna do it. And there we go. Not a big deal. I would recommend you don't get on the middle, because as you have seen, due to the big sumo guy takes a good amount of time to disappear, that pumpkin ghost is gonna appear and is gonna make us damage, and obviously we're gonna die and we're gonna lose our life. Signal you haven't completed the stage really quick is that boss is gonna appear. That ghost, sorry. But in this case, this takes a good amount of time to move to us to the next stage due to that sumo guy. Now, stage 25, you need to be very careful here, because with this, you're gonna freeze and throw this enemy, you're gonna jump and avoid this enemy. Even if you just leave this enemy freeze into a big snowball, that's not a big problem, because any of these guys is gonna touch that snowball, but try to throw this enemy, you throw it into a snowball. Then, you need to avoid this one, because if you freeze this guy here and throw the snowball, it's gonna take a good amount of time to the snowball to disappear, because it's gonna bounce. We're gonna keep bouncing here, but it's gonna take a good amount of time to disappear. So with this, if we ignore this guy, there's a high chance that when we're gonna go against this enemy, this guy has jumped outside, so we're gonna throw it into an item. Usually this is the only enemy that you throw into an item. And this is another important thing here. As you have seen, there are two blue guys here, and you're gonna go for the one on the right all the time, because the guy on the left likes to throw knives as much as you know. I'm gonna see if I can try to get that. Or well, you are gonna get so close to him and it's gonna kill you, so it's better to get the enemy on the right. Freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw. The item can get here, sometimes here, or sometimes, well, on the other middle section. Stage 26. There are two ways usually to complete this really quick. The one that I use and the one that other runners uses. So what those mod runners do is that they're gonna freeze this enemy, and you're gonna jump over the snowball so you can reach this section on the platform. Then you're gonna jump, freeze this enemy and throw, and then freeze this enemy and throw. There's a very low chance that when you throw this enemy, once it has been thrown into a snowball, that wrong snowball is gonna touch this enemy and it's gonna be thrown into an item, and the item usually is gonna spawn here. That's something weird that can happen, but it can happen. But again, freeze, avoid, jump, throw. Probably this is gonna bounce here, and it's gonna go against this snowball, and then you can do the same with the setup. Or what I used to do, freeze, and then once I'm on the top of the snowball, I press the B and A button to throw the snowball and jump at the same time. This is something that you need to practice because there are gonna be later stages where this is gonna be really helpful to throw in the snowball and jump at the same time. And this is very tricky. So this stage is really good to practice that. So I'm gonna show you first the way that other runners do. Freeze, avoid, jump, freeze and throw, and then freeze and throw. Or what I used to do. Why I say that you need to practice this a lot. Okay, let me reduce the speed of this thing. I'm gonna try to show you. Because here the problem lies that the game has an amazing way to drop your inputs or way to don't recognize what do you want to do. So sometimes when you get here, you need to be on a very good position. You need to try to be at most on the right, on the center that you can, because if you don't do that properly, what is gonna happen is that the game is not gonna recognize that at the same time that you press the A and B buttons at the same time, it's the game is not it's just gonna throw the snowball, but it's not gonna let you jump. So you're gonna keep on the top, and obviously you're gonna lose a good amount of time because there's no other way to catch these enemies. Sometimes this can happen. In this case I haven't pressed the jump button, but it's just to give you an example about what can happen. So again, first way to do it. And if I have, well, in this case doesn't matter that I did this guy thrown into an item. But that happened because I haven't first correctly enemy, just shoot him 2 times, you need to shoot to it 3 times. And also the way that I really recommend that you learn to do it. That it's jump and throw at the same time. And there we go. '27, again, another stage that I don't know how to explain, but again, freeze and throw, try to freeze and throw against this enemy. If you're lucky enough, this is gonna be thrown into an item, otherwise just freeze and throw this guy. Or just shoot him once you are here in this section. Sorry, once you're in that section, you're gonna be done. Now, stage 28, another stage where you can lose a good amount of time. The manipulation here with the enemies is a bit tricky. Because, well, I have said that stuff with the position manipulation at the beginning of the tutorial, but I forgot to explain that properly. That basically the position manipulation is that depending on where do you move, is where those enemies are going to be moved. So on the first stages, to get the items, you need to do exactly what I have done. And you believe me, watch just the other top runs and you're gonna see that all guys do the same. So here, the problem is with this blue tornado guy, so depending on the RNG that you get, you can save or lose time. Because what do we want here is that we're gonna wait until one of these guys calm down, or well, both guys calm down, so we can freeze them and throw them. And we're gonna be done with the stage. But there's a possibility also that they don't want to go down, so they're gonna be thrown into tornado, and they're gonna go down that way and gonna try to chase you. So if you wanna be a bit safe, don't throw this enemy, just freeze it and jump here. And what I do is I keep jumping here to left or right in order to make that the enemies try to chase me before they turn into a tornado. And I keep this guy because if that guy doesn't come down, they turn into a tornado, I can freeze this guy again and wait until they are so close to me so I can throw the enemy and I can be a bit safe because I'm gonna be on an invincibility frames window. Okay, one down. In this case, the other one hasn't came down. But if you're lucky enough, both enemies can fall down or not. It's gonna be good that they fall down because Sumo guy is not gonna throw that white balls. And obviously, we're gonna be moved to this floor really quick. Now, stage 29, freeze and throw. Jump, freeze, throw, wait a bit for the invincibility pace. Then jump, freeze, try to throw them, and then freeze and throw. Probably there's a possibility that one of these enemies or also this enemy can be thrown into an items, and the item's gonna spawn on the floor most of the time. So if you do that, move quickly to the floor. Like in this case, that this guy turned into an item, but not a big deal. And now, the first pace killer, we have made it correctly up to this point. The third boss, or bosses, which are these big birds. These big birds just require 3 shoots each of them, but trying to do this quickly, it's a bit complicated. So I can show you a proper way to defeat this guy really quick, but definitely the second guy is gonna make you lose time. This is mostly the problem that I had with the game, that I used to lose a good amount of time trying to defeat this guy. But let me show you how to defeat this really quick, and let's see if I end with save states I can get this really quick. But basically, these guys are gonna throw 3 eggs each one. Then I'm gonna have some little birds. So I'm gonna try to freeze 2 of the birds here and the other one here, and I'm gonna wait because also RNG based. And I'm gonna hope that this bird gets on a good position, like on this section, so I can throw the snowball here. This is gonna move from the left to the right, and then I can throw these 2 ones, and one is gonna go directly to the right and the left to the right, and with that I can do 3 hits. There's a possibility that when you do 3 hits to these enemies, well, when they receive 2 hits, they're gonna change its color to blue. So there's a possibility that once you have made the 3 hits, because again, the distance between the rolling snowballs and the bosses depends a lot about how many damage you're gonna make to them. If for some reason with the 3rd hit the bird hasn't died, don't try to shoot to it. If you make some individual shoots, obviously you're gonna defeat that bird, but you don't wanna do that, because with it, once the bird goes to the top, it's gonna throw again the more enemies on X, more little birds, so you can use that in order to try to defeat the other bird. So I'm gonna try to do this, and let's see what I get. So I do this. 1, 2. And I throw this thing. Okay, I fail here because also I got a bad position with that bird. I get here. 1, 2. Yeah, as you can see, this is a bit complicated for me. 1, 2. This is not a good position. And again, trying to do this quick can be problematic. Well, in this case, as you have seen, it took some time to defeat that bird. Basically, what you need to do is that everything is gonna depend mostly about the RNG here. It's gonna depend mostly from the position of the birds. In this case, I can make that bird get there, but I was slow, and one of the snowballs start to melt. So definitely that position is not good, so that's why you will want to play in order to get the bird on the middle. And sometimes that thing can happen. Just the fastest way to defeat one of the birds. You need to practice this a lot. If I remember correctly, my PB, my 1823, has a quick kill with the bird. Otherwise, also probably I'm gonna put a link on the description of this video when I can get a very good pattern with the birds. Okay, let's move. You get the idea about what I try to do. You need to practice this do this by yourself to understand this thing. Because it's a bit weird to try to guess where those the snowballs are gonna spawn. Okay, this guy just requires some individual hits and we're gonna be done. Probably gonna link the video in the description once I can get it. You can get it, but well, you can get an idea about how many times you can lose with these birds. So probably this is, well, avoiding the last boss. This is the boss that is gonna be a real headache for you when you wanna run this game. Well, up to this point, this is again when this is gonna be mostly something that it's gonna be mostly self-talk. This is something that you need to learn and practice again. Just watching the run. Here, there are not so many important things to say, just some few stuff to have on mind. And well, if you were able to complete the third boss without problems, mostly you are done with most of the worst things in the game. Now here your next challenge is gonna be the stage 39, but we're gonna be watching that once I reach that stage. Stage 31st, again, yeah, not so many things to say. So freeze and throw, freeze and throw, freeze and throw, this is gonna jump, it's gonna be thrown into an item. Or again, I just got confused with the enemies, but the thing is the same. Stage 32. Now for the any person category, and this stage is where the other money bag is located, which is on this section. So let's do this for that first. It's better to freeze that enemy, just to be a bit safe, or well, a bit quick, and then you're gonna get the gambling machine. Otherwise, just jump, 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 and keep shooting from here, and you're gonna get it. So now, getting back to the all stages one player category. Freeze and throw, and try to freeze this on a good distance, or try to go this for these enemies and then go for this one. This is just one of the stages where you need to make your own route. Stage 33, another stage where you're gonna be doing your own route. What I used to do here is that I go first for this enemy, then I jump, I throw this enemy that is gonna turn this into an item, and I do this with this. Or if this enemy doesn't do that, this enemy is gonna turn this other enemy into an item. Nice timing, I should say. Okay, stage 34, this is where some routes are divided, because I have seen that runners prefer to go first for this enemy and then wait until one of these guys gets outside here so they can freeze one of them to defeat the other ones. But doing that can be a bit slow. So what I do here is something that it's a bit complicated. I don't know exactly how does the runners do the other way, but I'm gonna try to do it. To try to give you an explanation or a concept about what I'm trying to say. But what I do here is that while I have the invincibility frames, I jump here, then I quickly jump to the middle, then another double jump, and then I freeze any of these enemies and throw it. And I'm gonna bless that I can turn two of these on items. The item can spawn here, here, or here, Well, the items can't get on any of the three spots usually. And I'm gonna get into another invisibility frames. Well, on invisibility pace. So I jump here on any of these spots, and then I jump right over here and try to freeze this enemy. That is gonna be like on this step. It's gonna be like on this position. So what I used to do is this. Okay, I'm not gonna get it. Okay, I was so close to don't get it because I gotta drop the input. Okay, that's not what that wasn't what I was trying to do. I used to freeze the enemy on the middle. And there we go. Because other runners just prefer to do this, prefer to defeat this enemy and get into another invisibility frames and try to do this. Probably it can be helpful, probably not. Probably they go for the invisibility frames or not, I don't understand exactly how do they do this. But doing that can make you waste a good amount of time. So I highly recommend to do the strat on the middle. 1, 2, 3, invisibility frames, jump, freeze, throw, and catch. That's gonna be the fastest way to do that. And now stage 35. Here on this stage is where what happened. I don't remember exactly this stage. I think it was on stage 26. Or well, the concept that the thing that I have said that you're gonna throw and jump over a snowball. You're gonna throw a snowball and same time you're gonna jump. You're gonna try to do this with any of these guys. I used to go for the guy one on the left. So what I do is freeze and throw. If I'm lucky, this guy's gonna fall down and is gonna receive damage. Otherwise, I just gonna freeze and throw this guy. I'm gonna jump outside and I'm gonna try to reach this guy or this guy, whatever of these guys came again. Again, this is the another of the stages where you're gonna be going for your own route. And also sometimes the game doesn't want to recognize there that you have pressed the A and B buttons at the same time to throw the snowball. Let me see if I can get it. Because if you're not in a good position, that can happen. And you're gonna get trapped there, and if you're lucky, probably the other enemy is not gonna make you damage. Or for example there, that the game ignored the fact that I tried to throw the snowball and I just have jumped. I don't know why, but that used to happen on this stage most of the time. And also you can get a red potion here as a backup for a resetless. Stage 36. This is a bit complicated also to explain, a bit tricky to try to explain this thing, because here you're gonna what I used to do is I defeat this enemy. If I can, I use it as a platform and I try to reach this enemies. I don't mind if I go for this first and then I go against this enemy, or if I got this enemy first and then this other one. This is the enemy that I'm gonna defeat at the last time, because here you can apply again the concept of throwing the snowball and jump over it at the same time. But this guy likes to throw knives, and also this guy likes to throw knives, so it's a bit complicated to try to explain this properly. Oh, that was that. So that invincibility pace can help a bit. But again, another stage where you're gonna be building your own route, your own way to complete this thing. But that invincibility can help, definitely. Using this enemy and throwing to the left to bounce to the right is gonna help to you for the invincibility frame, so you can be a bit safe and avoid any knife that any of the tornado guys can throw. And well, on this stage, again, you need a platform here, and now I'm realizing that I haven't put this enemy on the slideshow, but that's fine. It's something minimal. That's something that doesn't care. And as you can see, you have seen this enemy throw some fireballs to the floor, and some little fireballs are gonna appear. So here, to reach this section, you need a snowball. So you're gonna bless in order that with the enemies that you defeat and throw and turn them into items, any of them fly to the middle. Otherwise, you're gonna lose some time. Most of the time is what I used to get, so well, that kind of things used to happen. So again, you're gonna wait until these guys came out. So I came here, freeze and throw, get invisibility pace. I do the same with this guy. Higher chances that this enemy comes here also. So freeze and throw, get invisibility pace. Freeze, probably you can freeze it here inside, or this guy has jumped here, this other guy is gonna be here, and then you're gonna try to use the enemies on distance to defeat this enemy and this other one. Most of the time, this enemy is gonna fly here as an item. So you're gonna wait until the item disappears, because otherwise there's no way to defeat them. There's no way to game here if you don't have a snowball here. This guy is gonna be jumping here, but once he jumps here, you can get into a safe place over here in order to try to freeze it. Or if you're on the top, you can easily get so close to this thing, but facing to the left, and you can freeze that enemy. And it's not a big deal. Freeze and throw. Freeze and throw. Freeze and throw. And there we go. I was lucky here again. I haven't got any item on the middle. More tornado guys. My route. Freeze. But you need to be careful. You have seen that in other stages, probably when you start to freeze enemies, they can clip on the floor and they can go down. So this guy, most of the time, is gonna clip, is gonna fall down here. If you can freeze this guy and throw it here, that's good. If it clips, just leave it here. Came to with this enemy, freeze and throw. Try to freeze this and throw. There's a chance that this enemy bounces to the right and can turn an enemy into an item. And just the only problematic enemy is this one. And because this enemy has higher chances, it has a higher percentage of possibilities that it can turn into a tornado, but that's not bad at all. You're gonna lose some time, but it's easy to avoid. Okay, that was bad. Okay, that wasn't what I was trying to do, but this is another good way that you can complete this, because this is something that can happen. Because again, this is part of the stages where there's gonna be you're gonna get your own route. Oh, okay, I was so close to receive damage there. So here, as you have seen, if you haven't defeated the enemy on the top left, it's better just to keep freezing the enemy that clipped. And that's the way that you're gonna defeat the stage. Sorry, you need to try to repeat that stage a lot of times just to understand how it works. And if you have managed everything in order to reach this stage, congratulations, because this is the biggest pace killer of the game. Probably in how a nightmare for speedrunners this stage can be compared with 4-2 on the any percent of Super Mario Brothers. About the higher chance that this stage has in order to kill a run. Because on these middle sections, you cannot, your jump is so low, so you cannot get outside of this really easy. What do you need to do is that to use any of the enemies, turn it into snowball, and then you're gonna jump outside this. So what you're gonna try to do is that at least in the middle, there's just one enemy, but there's a slight manipulation where you can make this enemy jumps outside, and it's gonna help you to enter into the invisibility phase. Again, this stage definitely I cannot explain it like this, This is something that I need to do it, and after that you're gonna see what is gonna happen. Let's see if I can get this manipulation. So what I do is to keep moving, but I jump here and then I go back. There's a possibility that this yellow enemy gets here. I freeze this guy, I wait. I wait again. Okay, this was so bad. That was bad. Because I was getting a good pace in order to complete this really quick. But basically, I'm gonna make that one of these yellow guys came outside. Then with visibility frames, okay, that was bad. Because believe me, this stage also has killed me a lot of runs. Because what do you wanna get is that most of the time this yellow guy comes outside. Then at the correct moment you're gonna throw the snowball. You freeze this guy also. But you need to move, otherwise you're not gonna make him damage. Okay, it's gonna come here, so it's not like a big deal. But again, this is usually some of the things that can happen on this stage. So also, I will recommend to you to really create a save state for that stage, because as you have seen, that's kind of complicated stage. Okay, let me see, I put this on the 5, I'm gonna go to the 6. And I'm gonna load another save state that I have from this floor, just to try to show you this. Because if you're not lucky, the yellow enemies cannot come outside. So you need to find a way to defeat the other enemies. And definitely, if there are two guys on the middle, if there are two enemies on the middle, don't try to do what I have done here with this enemy. Okay, wrong state. Okay. And well, that's the reason why the stage 39 is a bit complicated to complete, or also why just that stage is a nightmare. But yeah, believe me, once you start to practice it, you're gonna understand. But I highly recommend to make a save state practice file for that stage, because you need to practice different ways to complete it. And get ready to be annoyed for that stage. Now, fourth boss, this boss is slightly different than an arcade release, because in the arcade release I think there are two guys like this, and the fire enemies that are gonna thrown on the arcade release, when you shoot to them, they just turn into small firewalls, and after some seconds this thing disappears. And some enemies I'm gonna start to fall from the top of the screen, but on the NES release this is more easy, because there's just one guy and there's no enemies that are falling from the top of the screen, and you can freeze and turn into snowballs these enemies. So you need to do this, you need to hit this guy 6 times and you're gonna be done. This is the way that I used to complete this stage. Two hits, 4 hits. I stop shooting there. 5, 6, and there we go. Fourth boss defeated. Also, I forgot to mention that if you were able to complete the stage 39 without big problems, congratulations. You're now on a pace to complete that run. Because from this point, this doesn't mean that this is not gonna be a complicated / hard to complete, but some stuff can happen sometimes. So now, stage 41, another chance of getting the face item here, not like a big deal. So what I used to do is I freeze and throw this enemy, freeze and throw, this get touched, and if one of them avoided the rolling snowball, I'm gonna try to freeze and throw the enemy. But also, that can give you some chances of getting the face item. And I have remember, I got confused, sorry. This is the only enemy that you avoid. Because usually, if the enemy falls on this section, there's a big possibility that you can get the face item. Stage 42, not a big deal, and also good thing is that the holes doesn't kill you. They just warp you to the top of the screen. So this is gonna be useful. Freeze and throw all of this, and I try to see how many enemies I can turn into snowball. That's everything. There's not like a route here that I follow. And also I need to be careful with this red guy. Okay, that's slow. Let me try to repeat that. Well, something like that. Again, just practice the stage and try to do a route you feel more comfortable with. But this is not really what I used to do. Stage 43 again. I don't think I'm gonna be pausing this, because this is again mostly self-explanatory. I can ignore that cake if I haven't went for these enemies, because the cake probably is gonna disappear, or probably not. I can leave that items at the end. Again, freeze and throw. Probably thinks due to that is why I don't have the wolf record. Oh my god. Okay, 45. I have something to explain here. So again, you need to be careful, because as I've said before we started to play the game, these enemies fly against you. So here, you need to be careful about where do you move and if you have or not the invisibility base. So I come from here, come down, try to freeze these two enemies, and I freeze this enemy, throw it to the left, come here, freeze this guy, wait until this other guy comes flying here, and when it's like on this position, I throw the snowball. Well, when it's more closer, like here, because with that I'm gonna turn an enemy into an item, and I just need to get word about the items that I left on the screen to this other enemy, and I'm gonna bless that this enemy also turn into a snowball can touch this enemy in order to turn it into an item. In this case, I wasn't lucky, but I get the invisibility base there, and I was able to do that really quick. Let's try it again. I was lucky there, and I shouldn't have freeze that enemy, but at least I'm gonna be moved really quick to this section so I can catch the other item that I got there. Floor 46. Again, this is I need to freeze and throw this guy, freeze and throw, and try to freeze and throw any of these guys. Yeah, sometimes that can happen, and sometimes you can touch that enemy with a rolling snowball or not. Stage 47, and stage that you need to be so careful, because again there's a higher chance also to get the face item here, because what I do here is that I freeze this enemy and I throw it, and then these enemies are gonna fly here, and the items are gonna spawn here. So I move here, and I try to freeze from this point. I try to freeze this other enemy, and I jump really quick and throw that enemy. And after that, I came down a bit to see really quick which items I have got. Because if I don't do that, if I don't defeat this other enemy, and if the face bonus item appears, and I get it after that. After that bonus phase, the enemy that I haven't defeated, it's gonna appear again. So I'm gonna waste time there. But you need to be so close. Okay, I have got the face here. Give me the end. I need the end. Which of these guys the end? No, the end. That was the end that I was needing for another life. Okay, anyways, but this is what I was trying to tell to you. And as you have seen here, there's another hidden item, so it's a cherry. So you need to be like on this point in order to defeat that enemy. You need to be quick like that. Probably a save state can help to you here in order to practice, but I don't feel it's so necessary. Again, with the flying bats mostly you need to try to see how quick can you defeat them. The good thing is that their movement is slow and they move on a diagonal, so probably that can be helpful or not to complete this. And now stage 49. Again, freeze and throw, wait until this guy flies and freeze and throw. And don't freeze that enemy like that. Just wait. Throw and then jump at me there. And then you're done. Now the real challenge, the last boss of the game. And here is where a good amount of my PB and world record paces have died. Something really important to have on mind on this stage is that each of these guys just requires 10 hits. So this translates into that this boss fight definitely is gonna be more longer than the other stages. On an average time, this can take like between 2 to 4 minutes. If you are quick enough, you can finish this in an average time of 2.5 minutes or something like that. Between 2 to 3 minutes. But in the worst cases, this can take up to 4 minutes. Or even more if you die or something like that. The good thing is that on this stage, if you die, you can get the red and blue potion here, so it's not like a big loss. Mostly on your first runs. So here, also this is different than the arcade release, because in arcade release, the roof is falling down slowly, but this keeps static. And also this is the only stage where everything in general is faster than on arcade release. So these guys, what does they do is that they're gonna start to throw some bubbles, and the bubbles can have something or cannot have something. The bubbles can have an enemy, a potion, or a fireball that once it comes down, it's gonna give to us a little fireball for a couple of seconds. So what do we wanna do here is that we're gonna wait until any of these guys throws an enemy, so we can freeze that enemy and throw it against them. What I highly recommend to you is that you try to alternate the hits. I mean, one hit, and all like that, in order to try to have to follow the same pattern and try to guess more accurately the moment where you're gonna finish your timer, because the time finishes once you defeat the last boss that was standing. For example, if I defeat this one first, and then when I defeat this boss that I defeat after this guy, the time finished when I defeat this guy, and vice versa. Individual hits also work. I think that I have got like 1 or 2 PBs when one of my last hits defeated the boss. It doesn't make so much damage, but it can help a bit. And also, you're gonna mash a lot your buttons here, because you can get trapped accidentally on a bubble that doesn't have nothing or that has an item. Or probably you're gonna try to trap yourself on purpose on the ones that have potions, because based on the worlds of the world record holder of this game at the moment that I'm recording this, he told me that he preferred to go to the bubbles that have items in, besides of if he has them or not, because there's something important here that we need to remember. Due to the NES limitations, this means that the most stuff that you have on screen, the less things that are gonna spawn. For example, in Super Mario Bros. On Warpless, there's an enemy you need to defeat on 5-3, otherwise a platform that you need to complete the stage is not going to spawn. So in this case, it's kind of similar, but with the bubbles. Because if you don't go for the potions, the bubbles with the potions are going to keep here, and then the potions are going to keep in this section. and obviously that counts as a sprite on the screen, and that reduces the most potions we have on this section. That reduces, and also the firewalls that we get here. Unfortunately, with the firewalls, there's nothing that we can do. But with the potions, at least we can try to optimize that. But otherwise, the most potions and or firewall we have here, the less bubbles these guys are gonna throw. Each of them throws 2. So also, this is really important to keep in mind that with these guys, you need to try to alternate the hits that you make to each of them, because with this, obviously when you defeat, for example, this guy, and then if you have hit this guy 10 times, but this guy was hit 9 times, then instead of having 4 bubbles, you're gonna have 2. So it reduces by a half the possibility of what you can get on the bubbles. So this is the reason why this is fully RNG based, and you're gonna bless in order to have a good RNG. And for example, in my situation, with my actual PB, with my 1823, I got a very good RNG here. But in my previous PBs, I got a good amount of RNGs that make me waste a huge amount of time, making that the times that were better than mine got a slow start, and I reached the last boss more quicker than them. But they got a good RNG that helped to us to get their PBs. But that wasn't my situation. So this is gonna be the moment where you're gonna be blessing for a good RNG. Unfortunately, also the moment that this video has been recorded, that emote doesn't exist. So try to find a good bless item for Franker faces or better TTV or something like that, or make your own if you're an affiliate or partner stream. Because believe me, you wanna like that the people in your chat spend a lot of bless item, well, a bless emote, because this last boss is fully RNG based. So here, the fact with matching buttons is because if you get inside into a bubble on purpose or accidentally, you need to mash A and B, and also mash all your buttons, all the D-pad buttons, because with that you can get outside of the bubble. But you need to be careful, because for example, if a bubble gets me trapped on this line, and there's in this line, for example, and there's a firewall here, and if I try to do this like on this level and I get outside, there's a higher chance that I can fall down here and receive damage thanks to that firewall. So you need to be so careful. So in that way, I will wait until I will be on a more higher section of the screen, so once I can get free of the bubble, I can have more time to react and move away from that firewall. So again, another safe state that you need to do for practice purposes. I'm gonna show you here this thing. Okay, I got trapped accidentally. There's an enemy, and I have missed that item, so probably I'm not gonna get any bubble right now. Okay, they disappeared. That's good. Also, sometimes when you are trying to... Okay, I'm gonna do this again because I haven't paid attention to which guy I have hit. And I forgot what I was gonna say, but anyways, probably I'm gonna remember what I'm gonna be. Okay, I missed that potion. There's an enemy. So we're gonna bless in order to get as much enemies as we can. And you need to match all other buttons you wanna get free from that bubbles. Okay, I haven't put attention again here, but I think that I have hit this guy one time. I don't want to load the state again, because even on my regular runs I used to forget that. And as you have seen, since there was a potion on the top, I just got 3 bubbles instead of 4. So that puts you out the possibility of getting what are we looking for. Unless the potions, we can take the potions, that's something good for us, but with the firewalls there's something we cannot do. Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. That sometimes when you are trying to freeze the enemies, what is gonna happen here is that there's a chance that you get trapped into a bubble, or even you catch a bubble and you throw an enemy, probably the snowball is gonna bounce on a bubble Okay, this is the worst pattern that I was able to get. And this is what I was telling you guys. Also, there's a glitch here that if you die, start to smash all your buttons. Because there's a possibility that when you spawn, for some reason the game gives to you all your items again. So you can do that. There's a glitch. I don't know why, but that used to happen on this stage, so have that on mind. Start to mash all your buttons and probably you're gonna get a glitch. That is gonna make it you spawn again with all your items. And also, your mashing skills are gonna matter here a lot to do this thing. Okay, that was bad. Okay, probably not! Okay, sometimes that kind of things can happen. And sometimes the firewalls are gonna make that you avoid some enemies. And I have lost the count about how many times I have hit each enemy. But I mean, that's gonna be helpful just to show you what I was saying about that it's important to have in mind that. And also, obviously, you will try to go for as many enemies as you can. Because again, the RNG is gonna tell if you're gonna get or not an enemy. But try to alternate your hits, that's gonna be so helpful. And as you can see also, you cannot get into all the bubbles all the time, so try to get in as much as you can. Talking about the bubbles that has items. Okay, the time is gonna finish once I defeat the other enemy. In time. And that's the way about how you defeat Snow Brothers. So here in this case, I got the alternative ending of the game. So I forgot to make a save state before. Because in this case, since I haven't died, okay, this is another save file, but I don't care. Because in another situation, no, let me see, I think that I have, okay, this is the one I was looking for, because another one I was having more lives. So here, if you have died in all the game, you have used one of the continues, you're gonna get the... You're gonna get like the bad ending of the game, or the most common ending. If you haven't used any of the internal continues, you can get the bad ending of the game. I'm gonna try to make the save state, and I'm gonna try to don't forget to do it. But basically that's something mostly like a signal that you're getting better with the game. On the time when you get a PB when you don't use any continue, that's gonna be a good signal that you're getting a good progress on the game. So I'm gonna show you both endings. So now I have made the save state of the good ending, and I'm gonna be explaining that. That doesn't affect the run, but just I wanna do that in order that I can help you to remember and which moments do you need to follow if you want. Well, just to make. Okay, that was bad because I have a lot of my items, so probably that's gonna be helpful. Do this really quick. I haven't got the glitch, so this is gonna be slow. So I was trying to say, because I'm getting distracted trying to get focus on this, is that if you get the bad ending, basically is that's gonna be like a signal that, well, you completed the game, but you can do it better. But when you can you can finish a run without getting the best ending, that's a good signal. Definitely, you are getting a good progress in the game. And I'm lacking from potions, and I'm not getting them. So I'm gonna show part of them. It just changes the history that the game tells to you. Okay, I have hit it less times this guy on the right, so I am gonna try to make a save before I give this guy the last hit. Okay, so this is the last enemy. I'm gonna make some damage to myself on purpose. And I'm gonna use one of the continues. There are 9 continues in the game. Probably I'm gonna miss that enemy, but it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So here I have to use one of the continues and I need to wait for another enemy. Okay, good timing for it. Let me see, on the 6, 7. Okay, so if you have used one continue, the game has 9 internal continue, like if it was an arcade game or something like that, you're gonna get this screen. This is gonna be the first screen you're gonna be getting. So, well, the history of the game is a bit deep. Or probably not like many of the games of the era. But, well, just for the record, I think that it's worth mentioning this. So, well, this is the regular ending that you get is this one, where, well, in this, and based on what those game facts from GameSpot tells to me, is that say that the evil king Scorch has kidnapped the Shimmering Frost princesses that are, well, in this game are mentioned as the twin princesses. And now that evil king is about to take over Snowland. So the brothers Nick and Tom tried to rescue the princesses, but instead of that, well, they weren't able to do that. So this evil king put a snowman curse into them. So in order to get rid of that snowman curse, they need to defeat this guy and also rescue the princesses. So if you have used one continue, the ending you're gonna be getting is the ending that says that you have rescued the princesses and the pace is back in the kingdom, and that's everything. But if you don't use any continue, you get this alternative ending where obviously you defeat this guy, this evil king, the peace is back in the kingdom. Brothers Nick and Tom lost the snowman curse, and at the same time they get married with the twin princesses. So basically, this is like the good ending of the game. If you use at least one continue, they don't get rid of the curse, and then they get married. But if you don't use any continue, they get rid of the snowman curse, and also they get married with the princesses. So with this, I really hope that this guide can be helpful for anybody who watched it. And if you have any questions related to it, feel free to ask me. On my speedrun.com profile, which is Go Senpai, I have my Discord tag, so I also have my direct messages open, so you can send me a message. I will recommend to you that you send me a message on Discord if you have any related questions to this. Probably I have missed something, and if that was the case, I'm gonna be putting that on the comments. But I feel aware, and I want to assume that I have covered as much as I was able to do with the most important things on this guide. So I really hope that for anybody who watches this can put some good time on this amazing game. And obviously with enough practice and dedication, you can get really quick sub 20 as a PB. And I really hope it's so, because this game back in the day was so popular, but unfortunately nowadays it has turned into an underrated game, and not so many people used to remember this. At least in many parts of Europe and Latin America, the game keeps being played, and many people like myself remember the game. Well, in my case, obviously, because I run it. But also, usually talking about speedrunning marathons, this game is one of my most rejected games. But recently, it has been started to receive some attention, which is something that I'm really happy. So I really hope that also with this guide, anybody who want to learn the game can put in practice their skills, and this can make that more people can get interested into this amazing NES game. So with all this said, I was Go Senpai, and I really hope that this guide were helpful for you.